Paulie Malanaji for Paulie TV. I can't believe what I just watched, guys. Did I just watch Terrence Crawford dominate like that? Did you just watch Terrence Crawford dominate like that? Bro, regardless of who you thought was going to win this fight, did you ever expect it to wind up this one-sided? I am still in shock. First of all, I thought Errol Spence was going to win the fight. First of all, imagine how in shock I am. Okay, that I thought Errol Spence was going to win the fight. I thought physically he was going to be too big. Secondly, I still had Terrence Crawford as my #1 pound for pound going into the fight. I just didn't think that he would physically be able to handle this weight class when it came to a natural big welterweight, strong welterweight, skilled welterweight like Errol Spence. Man, did he prove me wrong. I mean, he's #1 pound for pound. And first of all, some of you out there thought I was nuts for still having Terrence Crawford at #1 pound for pound. I mean, dude, he just emphasized and re-emphasized the fact that he's the best fighter in the world pound for pound. We were having a conversation earlier this week if Naoya Inoue should be the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world based on his performance with Stephen Fulton. And Inoue is definitely, for me, a top 3 guy. But man, for me, TC came into tonight #1 pound for pound, even though some of you did disagree with that. And you know what? He emphatically confirms that Terrence Crawford, the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world, the best fighter of this generation at this point, because to do it like that, I mean, they were talking about that this fight was going to be a 2-fight deal. There was going to be a rematch. What rematch? What rematch? How are we going to get a rematch after that? He dismantled him. I mean, it looked like they were playing 2 different sports in there. It's crazy. It's crazy. So let me break down the fight. I thought Errol Spence started the fight, aggressively, and that's what we all expected. We expected Errol Spence to start out aggressively, and I thought eventually the physicality of the fight would break Terrence down. But in the second round, Terrence scored a knockdown. Even though everybody got excited with this knockdown, I didn't get quite that excited quite yet, because if you look at the knockdown, Errol's got his back foot off the ground, so there's no anchor there when he takes that jab, and so he goes down. And he goes down off the jab. And I thought everybody was going to get a little too excited too quickly when he got that knockdown, because I'm like, oh, it's sort of a balance shot. A shot lands, it's a legit knockdown, but it also has to do with Errol's footing, So I was like, it's not that crazy yet. Let's not get too crazy yet. And Errol kept trying. He kept bringing the pressure. But we know Terrence Crawford is a little bit of a slow starter, but he starts getting your timing. He starts processing things, and all of a sudden, he just became like the Matrix. First of all, he gets into a rhythm. He's giving different looks. He's feinting. He's punching at different angles. He's punching at different speeds. He's creating space on the inside better than Errol Spence is creating space on the inside. It got to the point where Crawford was consistently landing the better, more violent punches on the inside. And at a certain point, about halfway through the fight in about round 6, you start to notice Errol Spence is hesitant on the inside. He's getting close, and he's just looking to hold and smother. And he's being forced to fight on the outside, because on the inside, he doesn't trust himself to just work, because now he realizes that Crawford is punching in between him consistently, or when he's not punching in between him, he's able to create space and get leverage on his inside punches, and it's making Spence start to doubt himself. So what does he do? Every time Spence gets in close, he tries to throw a couple of punches and then hold. Not because he's hurting all the time, but because he really doesn't trust himself to be a better fighter on the inside than Crawford. And what happens? At that point, you saw Spence starting to back up more consistently. And you realize at that point it's over. Because even though it was about round 6, Spence is not a back foot fighter. You've never seen Spence back up. How is he going to be able to outbox Crawford, who's a guy that knows how to fight coming forward and going backwards? And sure enough, the fight started getting worse and worse and worse. There was 2 knockdowns in one of the rounds. It just, the shots started landing more and more consistently. I believe CompuBox, which I don't really rate CompuBox, but I mean, at this point, you could see that TC was just landing more and more consistently, even with the power. The jab was stupendous. I mean, the jab was superb, but it wasn't just the fact that it was a good jab. It was a harsh jab. I mean, it was literally busting up Errol, and it was, again, everything put together was creating doubt in the mindset of Errol Spence. I mean, even when you're thinking he's creating all these angles for punches to the head, he would dig in good body shots. I thought he hurt Errol to the body a couple of times. We expected Errol to be doing the damage to the body, but he couldn't do anything. I mean, he would get close and he would just try to work on activity, but Terrence was punching in between him. He was countering beautifully. I mean, there wasn't really any counter punches from Errol Spence at all. I mean, he couldn't get the timing down from Crawford at all. And Crawford did this all in one stance. It ain't like, we talk about the switching of Terrence Crawford. He didn't even think about going to the right-handed stance. I mean, that's what was crazy. I mean, he stayed in the southpaw stance the whole time, dismantled Spence, was more physical than him by the end of the fight, was hurting him with every single shot he hit him with. And honestly, by the time it was over, I mean, you were questioning what the hell you just watched. I know I was questioning what the hell I just watched. I'm going to question it tomorrow morning when I wake up. Did I really just see that fight in such a one-sided fashion, a fight that we had all been waiting for? You know what? I thought Terrence got old. I thought going into the fight, you know what? He got old. He's not going to be able to deal with the physical pace, the physicality of a natural welterweight. But you know what, man? He's got all knockout wins at this weight class. Maybe Errol waited too long, and he let Terrence fully grow into this weight class, because Terrence has a 100% knockout streak in this weight class. He's got the second longest knockout streak in boxing, right behind Artur Beterbiev. I mean, he's on like a 10 or 11 fight knockout streak, and he's knocked out some good fighters in this streak. Guys like Sean Porter, guys like Errol Spence. Bro, we watched the fight. You understand Egis Kalaliauskas was more competitive with Terrence Crawford than was Errol Spence. Would you ever have even imagined that? And what a performance. I mean, talk about saving the best for last. What a performance. I mean, this would be a great way for Terrence Crawford to walk off into the sunset. I mean, obviously, you know, there's so much more money to be made and so much possibilities here for Terrence Crawford. I don't know what he's going to decide, but it would be amazing if he walked off into the sunset. You talk about a storybook ending. It would be amazing if he walked off into the sunset at his best, like Lennox Lewis did when they were still on top. But Lennox still kind of limped out into the sunset, even though he went out with a win, because remember, he had that controversial fight with Vitaly Klitschko in his last fight. This would be going off into the sunset in domination, even better than Floyd Mayweather did it. You know what I mean? Floyd Mayweather was dominant in every fight, but he made, this was the fight everybody was thinking. I mean, this was a 50-50 fight, man, and they fought it out. It wasn't a Mayweather-Pacquiao where it was like a dance. They fought it out, and Terrence was just better, and from every single position, from every angle, the more complete fighter, the more creative fighter. What did I just watch, man? I'm still mind blown. Terrence Crawford. Hats off to Terrence Crawford, man. Hats off to Errol Spence for continuing to try. He was even complaining when they stopped the fight. He's a great fighter nonetheless, but that's what I'm talking about. The fact that Errol Spence is a great fighter and Terrence Crawford made him look this ordinary. I would never have imagined the winner of the fight would make the other guy look so ordinary. Terrence Crawford, hats off. The best fighter in the world, pound for pound, and there is no doubt now. I'm Paulie Malignaggi. This is Paulie TV. Let me know what you think in the comments. I know you've got opinions on this fight. Let me know.